What do you think Davy Jones really is in the world of One Piece? Actually, the story has already dropped a few clues about him here and there. For example, if you look at Harry text or how Florian Triangle is pronounced in Japanese, you'll notice there share a few interested. So in this video, I want to dive into everything we've learned so far in the series and from the perspective of someone who's read the original Japanese version of One Piece, try to uncover the true identity of Davy Jones. Now, I actually talked about the connection between Blackbeard, Rocks, and Davy Jones last year in the video on the Dawn Dusk channel, and it seems like the rest of the fandom is finally starting to catch up. So if you are looking for the deep analysis on the latest chapters, you'll find it right here, LunaPienArt channel. If you want more original, high-level theories, check out Dawn Dusk. And if you are craving even deeper discussion, come hang out my Patreon. I've got something for every level of fan. Alright, enough intro, let's jump into the main topic today. One of the biggest themes in One Piece is the idea of uketsugareru ishi, the will that gets passed down through generations. Luffy may not have inherited Roger's will directly, but it's clear that he's carried it forward. We know this because both Luffy and Roger share the exact same dream. That's something we heard from both Shanks and Yamato. And what makes it even more meaningful is that the straw hat Luffy wears was passed down from Roger through Shanks. So then the question is, who did Roger inherit his will from? Most likely it was Joy Boy. When Roger reached Laughdale and he saw the immense treasure there, he burst out laughing. After that, he said like this, Joy Boy, 俺はお前と同じ時代に生まれたかった。Joy Boy, I wish I had been born in the same era as you. And from what we've seen, Joy Boy also wore something that looks like a straw hat. That visual hint suggests that not only the hat, but also his will has been passed down all the way to Luffy's generation. Now, whether it's the exact same physical straw hat that's been around for 800 years, that's still debatable. But just like that, I believe Marshall Teach, one of the current 4 emperors, and Luffy's greatest rival, has also inherited a will. His father is Roxy Zebek, and the fact that Teach named his ship the Saber of Zebek and is aiming to become the king of the world, it all points to him carrying on Rock's will. There's no doubt about it. So as you can see, the people of the D clan often seems to carry on the will of those who came before them, whether they are aware of it or not. And there are 2 particular moments that really stand out. First, Roger's final words to Rayleigh were, 俺は死なねえぜ、相棒. I ain't gonna die, partner. Now, of course, Roger did die physically, but if someone appears to carry on his will and accomplish the things Roger couldn't, then, in that sense, the idea that he doesn't die makes total sense. I mean, his will lives on. And then, there's this line from Rocks to Imu. 俺はここに戻ってくるぜ. I'll be back here. That line gives off a very similar vibe to Roger's final words, 俺は死なねえぜ, I won't die. Of course, at that time, Rocks probably meant that he himself would return, but looking at it now, it feels like the one who will actually return in that place, carrying on his will, might be none other than Marshall Teach. But there's still one huge question left unanswered. Why did Rocks want to become the king of the world? Where did that belief or ambition even come from? That's where the name Davy Jones comes to mind. In other words, I think Davy Jones might actually be an ancestor of Rocks Zebek. I know, there's even a possibility that Blackbeard's mother is a descendant of Davy Jones, which could explain why Rocks chose her to have a child with. It will make perfect sense if that was part of the plan. But for this video, let's go with the theory that Roxy Zebek himself is a descendant of Davy Jones. So when Rox broke into Im's room of flowers, he declared that he was the follower of Davy Jones. But why would he say that to Im, all of the people? In the world One Piece today, or at least from Robin's perspective, Davy Jones is seen as nothing more than legendary pirate. But if Rox mentioned him to Im, that probably means he knew Davy Jones was a real person who lived 800 years ago and that Im had actually met him. That's likely why Rox brought it up, because he knew Im would understand exactly who he was talking about. And there's another reason I think Davy Jones was an ancestor of Rox. Let's look at what Calgara once said. 俺たちは祖先を神のように尊敬している。We honor our ancestors like gods. This shows that in the world One Piece, ancestor worship is part of the culture. So it wouldn't be surprising if Rox also revered Davy Jones, his own ancestor, in the same way. If that's the case, then the Rox family was likely been carrying on Davy Jones' legacy ever since his time. And that would explain why Rox already knew about the Marijoa, the Room of Flowers, and the true power that controlled the world. There's something else about Roxy Zebek that really sets him apart from other One Piece characters. That is, people tend to refer to him by his last name, Rox, not his first, Zebek. In the world One Piece, just like in Japanese, names are usually written with the family name first, followed by the given name. Take Luffy for example. His family name is Monkey, like Monkey D. Garp, Monkey D. Dragon. And he is commonly called Mugiwara no Luffy, Straw Hat Luffy in public. And even his friends or his crewmate, Nakama, just call him Luffy. Of course, few people call him Monkey, like Shakuya-kun. But same with Podcast the Ace. People call him Hiken no Ace, Fire Fist Ace, or simply Ace. And Goldie Roger, everyone just call him Roger. Even Zoro is sometimes referred as Roronoa, like Mihawk, but most people knew him as Kaizokugari no Zoro, Pirate Hunter Zoro, and none of his crewmates ever call him Roronoa. So the fact that Roger referred to himself and is referred to publicly as Rox, using his last name instead of Zebek, might actually mean something. There's one other exception in the series. Can you guess who? It's Hody Jones. His crewmates don't call him Jones, they call him Hody. This brings us back to the story of Fishman Island. On Fishman Island, Hody Jones tried to spread hatred towards humans, planting that hatred deep into the hearts of the fishmen, even targeting the children. He wanted the next generation to grow up with that same hatred. To make sure that hatred lasted, he even excused fishmen who tried to live in peace with humans. In the same way, it's possible that Davy Jones also held a kind of deep grudge against the world. Maybe he planned to take that grudge out by becoming the king of the world, but when that dream slipped away, he decided to pass down his hatred to the next generation. And the ones who inherited it were Roxy Zebek and Marshall D. Teach. Now, they are trying to become the king of the world to fulfill Davy Jones' unresolved will, to settle his score with the world. The truth is that powerful emotions like grudges and hatred often end up driving people in the One Piece, also in our worlds. Anyway, Hody Jones was the embodiment of the kind of hate. Even though Hody never personally experienced discrimination from humans, he became a monster born out of the hatred that the fishmen had carried for generations. Sure, Hody was ultimately weak for Yonko level and got defeated quickly, but now imagine a stronger version of that same idea. That might be what Blackbeard is. A living embodiment of Davy Jones' hatred, standing in Luffy's way as the Sekai no O, king of the world. Maybe that's also why Oda Sensei gave them a such similar vibe in design to reflect that shared darkness. There's actually another case that's really similar to all this. Vanderdecken. The Vanderdecken family has been passing down the single obsessive will for 9 generations to claim the mermaid princess. There's a legend in their family, known only to the royal family and few select people, that there once was a mermaid princess who could even control the Sea Kings, and that legend is probably true. And then, the first Vanderdecken set out on the journey to the ocean floor in pursuit of that very legend. And according to Brook, there's a story that says the Vanderdecken angered the gods and was cursed to wander the sea forever, suffering eternal torment. Now, hearing those stories about Davy Jones and Vanderdecken, doesn't something else come to mind? That's right, Zunisha. He too committed some kind of crime long ago and is now forced to the sea for eternity, obeying someone's command without freedom. And then there's Sea Kings, those strange creatures that live on the deep sea near the calm belt who can actually understand and speak human language. It makes you wonder, could they also be beings who were caused by some devil, sentenced to live trapped in the ocean forever? Remember, one of the Sea Kings that appeared around Fishman Island mentioned that the moment when Roger heard their voices 25 years ago felt like just the other day. And when they sensed the birth of Shirahoshi, they said, 今度はうまくいく. This time, it will go well. That suggests they are already experienced failure in the past, like we referred to Joyboy's failure. So it's pretty safe to say that the Sea Kings have also been living in the sea for the last 800 years, carrying the memory of that loss. Normally in One Piece, when someone eats a devil fruit, they gain the power of the devil, but in exchange, they lose ability to swim. That's the usual course. But these characters we've seen talking about are the complete opposite. They can only survive in the sea. Now, Vanderdecken is kind of an exception since he drowns in the water, and his lineage seems to be passed down through generations. But if Davy Jones is still alive down at the bottom of the sea, then it's possible he also under the curse, one that, like Zunisha or the Sea Kings, has kept him alive for 800 years, wandering endlessly through the ocean. If that's the case, then the devil that cursed them is probably something entirely different from the Akuma no Mi, devil fruit. And I believe that may be the true identity of the mysterious figure, the shadowy figure wrapped in the white veil. The idea of devil in the world One Piece is still wrapped in mystery, but there are a few clues. For example, in the wall mirrors in Elbaf, you can clearly see 2 devil-like figures depicted. That probably means there were 2 types of devils that once existed in the world. One of them is likely the one that's currently parasitizing Imu. And the other devil, this second one, I believe, is the one responsible for condemning Davy Jones, Zunisha, and the Sea Kings to wander the seas for eternity. Now, we actually see a similar devil-like figure elsewhere in the story. It appears as the tattoo on the arm of the bartender at the pub where Luffy and Blackbeard met for the first time. And here's the crazy part. This tattoo looks almost identical to the illustration of Davy Jones on the old novel by Tobias Smollett. So where is that devil now? The first place that comes to mind is the Florian Triangle. Apparently, around 100 ships disappear into the mist in the Florian Triangle every year. At first, we assumed this was just because of the Moria's influence, but at the end of the Thriller-Berg arc, the narrator reveals that the ships has been vanishing in this sea long before the massive pirate ship Thriller-Berg showed up and began hiding there 10 years ago. which means it's very possible that either the devil who caused Davy Jones, or maybe even Davy Jones himself, cursed and forced to live only at the bottom of the ocean, is lurking in that triangle. And maybe this being is shallowing up every pirate ship that entered the foggy sea and stashing away all their treasures in his own personal locker. Now, take a closer look at the Japanese name for Florian Triangle. In Japanese, even though it's pronounced Florian Triangle, it's also called Ma no Sankaku Chitai. That word, Ma, is the same kanji used in the word for devil, Akuma. And since Davy Jones is said to have been caused by devil, Akuma, that fits perfectly. Also, the word Ma that's used to describe this strange area in the exact same kanji used in another context where devilish or supernatural forces are at play, like with Harley, for example. So maybe the Florian Triangle really is, quite literally, a devil triangle. So that wraps up my explanation of who Davy Jones really is based on the Japanese version of One Piece. There's still a lot more I didn't get to cover, so I'll be posting a deeper breakdown and extra theories on my page, Patreon page. Come check it out. And don't forget, I'm also dropping new videos regularly on Dawn Dusk channel, so make sure you don't miss them. And by the way, I also offer private Japanese lesson and translation or marketing service for people doing business in Japan. If you're interested, just reach out via Instagram or email. Anyway, thank you so much for coming today. See you in the next video.